My name is Olubankole Wellington, also known as Banky W. And it's an honor to be here tonight with you guys to share some ideas with you. So Nigeria is an interesting place, isn't it? It's one of a kind. It's like really awesome and really terrible at the same time. Seriously, like it's really great and it's absolutely horrible at the same time. It's like the best place that you could live on earth. But it's also, possibly it could be the worst place that you could live. Let me explain. So if you're Olamide Bado, the voice of the street, it's the place where all your dreams as an artist, all those dreams have come true. But if you're a voice on the street, it's a place where all your dreams are shattered and taken away. If you're Tiwa Savage or Brahma Sadao or Auntie Mo Abudu or Mrs. Adesuwa Itomi Wellington. Hi, baby. But if you're any one of those females, it's a place where you can break through stereotypes, break through barriers, and shine and succeed and make something of yourself. But if you're Boko Haram, it's the place where you can kidnap 200 female children at the same time and get away with it. Nigeria is the place that inspired so much literary genius in the mind of a young girl that the world now has no choice but to respect and reckon with Chimamanda Adichie. But Nigeria is also the place where a senator can marry a 13-year-old and get away with it. Nigeria is the birthplace of the legend that is Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Okay? Most of us can agree, arguably, he's the greatest, most iconic musician in our history. But it's also the place where songs that Fela wrote in the 70s sound like they could have been written last week. Because the issues are the same, or worse. Most of the things that he addressed are the same or worse. Nigeria is a place where we have a Vibranium Valley. Anybody know of Vibranium Valley? Okay, in Vibranium Valley, Nigeria has amazing digital technology startups. They're doing amazing, innovative, fantastic things. But it's also the place where some schools attempt to teach computer science technology without one working computer. One. How are we educating the leaders of tomorrow without the computers of today? What is the average Nigerian child learning? Not the people in this room. The average Nigerian child. What is that child learning? If in one state, for example, thousands of our teachers could not pass a primary 4th grade exam. In Nigeria, we don't have any state-of-the-art universities. We don't have any world-class medical research centers. Not one. But you know what we do have? We have state-of-the-art, world-class, billion-dollar churches. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that praying is a bad thing. Praying for healing is a good thing. We should all do it. But isn't it better to be able to pray with your pastor and go and see a doctor as well? Isn't that a better option? We're in Lagos right now, right? Lagos, in my opinion, you don't have to agree, but Lagos is arguably our most progressive place. There's a reason why millions, every day, thousands and thousands of Nigerians flock to Lagos because they're in search of opportunity, they're in search of progress, they're in search of a chance at a better life, they're in search of survival. That's why they come here. But isn't it ironic that this same Lagos was just ranked as the 3rd worst city to live in the world? This is the best city that we have. This is the best city that we have. But we're the 3rd worst city in the world. What happens to the rest of the country? let's talk about the rest of the country. I just shot a movie in Bauchi up north. And I was there for a little over 3 weeks. Do you know that it blew my mind that in this same Nigeria, we have the most amazing, magnificent, beautiful animals you have ever seen in your life. In Bauchi, I saw them. Guys, if I saw a picture or a video, I wouldn't have believed that it was possible. But I saw them with my eyes. I saw them myself. Giraffes. So tall, so beautiful, so magnificent, so exotic. They're here. The same animals that Kenya has built an entire tourism economy around. The same animals that people fly from all over the world to go on safaris in Kenya and South Africa. They make millions of dollars off of these same animals. And they're here. But you know what's sad? What's sad is that the only things that seem to maintain themselves in our environment are things that God himself watches over. God himself. The giraffes are as beautiful and exotic and magnificent today as they were 30 years ago. They're there in Sumo Park. Go. You'll see it. The Wiki Warm Spring in Yankari Game Reserve. My goodness. It is one of the most... You have been there. God bless you. So you know I'm not lying. Wiki Warm Spring is literally one of the most beautiful natural water attractions that you will ever see in your life. But the facilities around these things are run down. Completely run down. Sumo Park, where I saw the giraffes, the toilets looked and smelled like they haven't been flushed in 5 years. Why is it that everything that we are in charge of rots away? What is wrong with maintenance culture? Countries are surviving off of the things that we're ignoring. Guys, what good is having a House of Representatives if you are not actually being represented? What good is a Senate without a spine? They have the ability to make being gay illegal, a crime punishable by 14 years jail time, but they cannot save one child bride, one. And while all these terrible things are happening, what are our leaders doing? They are potting. They are playing musical chairs with the affairs and the destiny of our country, with the country that we're going to give to our children. They're playing musical chairs. And what are we doing? We're sitting down, we're watching, we're tweeting, we're complaining, and even worse, we're picking sides and fighting on their behalf. We're falsely accusing ourselves, we're dragging ourselves through the mud on their behalf. I have news for you. When you are in a lose-lose situation, you don't pick sides, you change the situation. So how did we end up here as a country? Yes, decades of bad, failed, corrupt, poor leadership, leaders without vision, yes. But you know what? Talking about the problems, it's not enough. We've done this for years. But you can only ever influence an outcome if you participate. You ever heard the term, you have to be in it to win it? If you're not in the game, you can't win the game. It doesn't work like that. And you know what the very first step is? You have to register to vote. Step one. If you don't do that, then shut up. Please. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, you have to wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. But it takes radical decisions to break through. You ever hear the term power belongs to the people? See, that term is actually true, but only if the people realize that our strength is in the numbers. I have a question. Why do you think, and I really want you to think about this, why do you think politicians spend so much money bribing people to vote for them? You think they'd do that if the votes didn't count? Would anybody spend millions or billions of naira if they felt like, I'm just going to ignore the count anyway, so why waste the money? They spend the money, they go through the effort, they bribe voters and they kill each other because the votes do count. When will we realize that the more people that show up, the harder it is for any one person to sway any election result? When is that going to sink in? If I make an allotment for 100 people in this room right now to vote, and 10 people partake, what happens to the other 90? I can do whatever I want. But if out of 100, 50, 60, 70, 80 people show up, it's a little bit more difficult. My hands are tied. Guys, we can no longer afford to sit on the sidelines. It's time for us to have a say in our communities, in our towns, in our cities, in our states, in our country. Even if you are disappointed in every single leader that Nigeria has ever had, even if you don't yet know who you want to vote for, even if none of the candidates are quite measuring up to par, or you don't think any of them can win, or you're not happy, no problem. But your vote is your voice. You don't give your voice away because you're not yet sure what you want to say. Come on. And you know what? Maybe it's time for a new political movement. Right? Maybe we're tired of the musical chairs. Maybe we're tired of the potting. Maybe we're tired. We were kids. They said the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, and we're still here. So maybe it's time for us, and I know I'm not a youth anymore. I'm now 37, I understand. But maybe it's time for this generation to say, okay, you know what? We're going to chart a new course. We have the numbers to do it. We do. But guess what? It's going to take time. Longer than 2019. It's going to take effort. It's going to take energy. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take work. It's going to take blood, sweat, tears, resources, money. We're going to need to give of ourselves to build something to compete. But guess what? Difficult does not mean impossible. It's possible. But the very absolute first step, just register to vote. Get the card. Do what you have to do. Wake up early. Stand in line. Struggle with it. Change takes radicalism. It's not going to be easy. There are people who are satisfied with the way the country is. They're not going to make it easy for you. Step 1, register to vote. Very first step. If you don't do that, you're not even part of the conversation. So please, just leave those of us that are working. Step 2, vote with your conscience. You want millions of us to vote for you. You won't even come on a platform and argue with your opponents and say, this is what I stand for, this is what I represent, support me because I'm going. You won't even do that. You won't even debate. You know why they don't need to do it? Because we're not voting anyway. They have the numbers. They're calculating based on the people that are already there. Isn't it time for us to get 10, 20 million new voters in the system? Listen, there are people who are going to sell their votes for 5K and a bag of rice. It's going to happen. There's so much need and lack in this country that there's some people that just wait for election period. They got their PVC. They know somebody's going to come along and give them a little bit of cash, and they're going to vote for that person. It's going to happen. Now, you that know better are going to sit back and not register and not vote and let that person that sold his vote for 5K and a bag of rice decide who sets the policies that affect your life? Step 1, register to vote. Step 2, vote with your conscience. But let's take things a step further. You want to hear step 3? Guys, for true progress to occur, we each have a responsibility to do whatever we can. We need baby steps. We need little drops of water to fill a bucket. Here's a newsflash. No singular person, not your senator, not your governor, not even your president, no singular person has the ability to fix everything that is wrong in Nigeria. Nobody. But you know what? Each one of us can fix something. You can. Everywhere you turn in Nigeria, there's need. Everywhere you turn, there's lack. Everywhere you turn, there's poverty. There's sickness. There's hunger. Everywhere you turn. What are you doing about it? Spend less time pointing out problems and more time being part of the progress. Each of us can do something. Each person. You might not be able to fix the entire Ministry of Education, but maybe you can help one school. Maybe you can buy one school some computers or some musical instruments, or help them fix their desks. Maybe you can help one school. Maybe you can't fund an entire orphanage, but maybe you can donate some items. They need clothes, they need food, they need money. You don't have to be the Minister of Health to help the sick. Go to your local hospital, go to Luth. You will see thousands of people that cannot pay the very basic of medical bills. Thousands. Drive once a month. If you have 20K, drive once a month. Talk to a nurse. They're there. Meet one need. Help one person. Help one school. When faced with challenges, the easiest thing to do is to sit back and complain. But it's also the most ineffective course of action that you can take. True change will only come when you are frustrated enough about a problem to do something about it. Do more than tweet. Do more than pray. We've been praying for Nigeria for what feels like an eternity. Do more than pray. It's like we've mastered the scripture that says pray without ceasing. But we have forgotten about the scripture that says faith without works is dead. Each one of us must register to vote. Each one of us must do what we can to make it a little better. If you really, truly, sincerely want your country to be better, fix it yourself. Thank you.